Hello, everybody. We're back with episode 2 of Between the Trees, our college basketball 18 Dynasty we're doing here. And today we're going to be doing a little recruiting update. I changed my mind on doing the start of recruiting because I realized that really is kind of stupid because you really can't see anything other than just their. You do see their stats. I'm going to pull up the game here. I can see we're actually in, and I'm talking about that, you see we're actually in August 7th. I've kind of gotten most of my preliminary scouting out of the way now. But no, I just kind of figured it's like, well, wait a minute, because you don't really see what our scouting reports on them. You just kind of see it's like, oh, okay, well, here's their college stats, and here's their size and their weight. It's like, well, that's not really, and their name, but half those guys we'd look at, then we'd be like, well, actually, we never really recruited them. So I figured we'd go ahead and I'd kind of be able to make a preliminary target list and kind of show you what we've been doing and who we're kind of looking at. So let's go ahead and hop into recruiting here. And you'll see I have some guys that still scout. I just added most of those guys recently from moving guys around. We have a shit ton of people because I always have a shit ton of people. Plus, as a small school, we really need to cast our net as far as possible. A lot of high-ranked guys, and we were wondering why. It's like, I know we have no chance at signing these guys. They're actually, a lot of them were originally ranked lower than they were. And that's kind of how they got on here. And as the world progresses, obviously those guys got better, or the recruiting services were like, hey, this guy's not that bad. So, yeah, so they've kind of improved on the ranking. So we probably would have had a shot to begin with. This guy obviously is on here because he has a really crappy GPA. And our hope, and why I scouted him and kind of am watching it, is my hope is his SAT scores come in pretty low, and maybe we can get lucky and snatch ourselves a top 25 recruit just based on the fact that we don't care that he's terrible. We don't care about his terrible academics. Likelihood is no, we won't have that. He either won't qualify or he'll qualify enough for whatever big school he signs for, but, it's fun to dream, so hey, why not leave him on there. So let's go and look real quick at, I'll show you who was originally interested in our school. It's going to have some players have been that we've added. Sides originally did, he came in for a visit and didn't really like it. McPherson, we got, I can't remember if either of these originally started with it, but they had interest at one point. We had him come in for a visit and they're like, nah. Taylor was the big get that was on our list. He was like a 400 rank when he was on here. He's dropped since then. He's another one of these guys who has terrible academics, so I was thinking he was going to be a top prospect that just had terrible academics, and he liked that we don't care that he had terrible academics, but that wasn't the case. He's still a pretty decent looking player, though, so 6'6". He'd probably move to shooting guard because he's not really a great point guard. Of course, and I realize, of course, we're playing triangle, so technically you'd consider your shooting guard more your point guard, blah, 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 whatever. I'm still traditional even and ignore my own, offense. The thing I like about him, though, as I just transition out of that here, is he's a great 3-and-D player. One thing I'm noticing so far in the new game in recruiting is there seems to be a lot more guys who fit that kind of role of a 3-and-D role player type in the lower rankings. It could just be that our scout, we suck at scouting recruits is why, but it's definitely nice to see that. Last year's game, it felt kind of like to get defense, you pretty much just had to be recruiting in a lot of higher ranked guys. The other issue I had in the other game, and I haven't looked too much to see if it's still the case, is a lot of times your D guys were guys who also had a higher scoring, so if you're looking for like these C's, it was kind of a pain in the ass. Seals is someone who was originally interested in us, and he's actually on my preliminary list of targets, and we'll get into why in a little bit later. Scola was another one. Levasseur was another one. Most of these guys, I believe, were a few of these guys we've called, but with hard recruiting I have set up on here, they're not too perceptive to listening to my crappy recruiting coach call them about recruiting. So we haven't had too many guys we've been able to convince, like, hey, how's it going? Alright, yeah, so a lot of these guys are, they're not really, a lot of them aren't really on my list, I'll be honest with you. Erskine, kinda, a little bit. Not really, but he'll do if some of our other targets don't come through. Oh, Bowie was not originally on this list. He's one I found. Alright, let's go over to the call list. That's kind of generally where I have most of my guys that I'm interested in. And we're going to sort by name because I have a list written down and I'll show you them. But of course, first we have Bowie. He was one I found, big 7'1", 300-pound kid from Virginia. And we'll hop in his rail file. We're expecting him to come out to be a B in scoring, B in passing. That's the big thing that really makes him stand out and really put him on one of my two main centers I want to recruit right now. Oh, you know what I should have done? And I swear to God, someday we'll get better at this. I should have mentioned what we're actually recruiting, shouldn't I? So the obvious thing is I want to get bigger players. I want to get at least another big center in there, because we do have our 6'10" center. That's not bad. And possibly two of them. I do want to add a shooting guard and possibly a forward, either in the power forward or small forward. Probably actually both will eventually be what we'll do. Power forward wise, again, there's pretty much just these two big guys, and I have the two already that I'm kind of looking at to be center power forward. Bowie would be obviously center. And of course, we want to leave one scholarship open just for any sort of BPA type player that we can find that has those low academics. Yeah, so our main goal is to generally try and find ourselves a shooting guard, a center, and at least one forward. Preferably, probably, maybe power forward. We have a lot of small centers that can move to power forward, so it's kind of iffy on that one, but probably either that, maybe small forward, because we will need a backup likely, because we're going to be moving guys around. But anyways, alright, back to our scouting. The only downside is Bowie isn't really high into coach discipline, which we aren't. But I do really like his, like I said, I like his passing. It's the big standout to me. He's going to be a good shot blocker. His rebounding needs to be better, and he's not very athletic, but we play a slow system, so I'm not too concerned about athleticism. If it was my other team, which I did import in here, I'm going to kind of see how the stats go, because I've heard it's also better for fast teams. My K-State team would hate this guy because he's not at all athletic. Good inside shooting. Suppose I can hit some outside shots. We'll see if that's actually true. I think his parents went to Houston Baptist in Portland State. Wow. Wonder how they ended up. Maybe they were Army or something. I don't know how they ended up in Virginia. Obviously, so far he's averaging 16.4 points a game, about 2 assists per game, which is a little low for his passing, but not too bad. 6.4 rebounds per game, 1.3 steals per game, and almost 3 blocks per game, which is really nice. Yeah, pretty obvious why I like this kid. He's 7'1", and he's going to be a good. Looks like he could have good rim protection possibility for us, and he's going to be a great passer, which is definitely one of the things we'd like to see out of our bigs, since we're going to be playing off them quite a bit. And the benefit, of course, is that he's not going to be too passive about getting his shots up. The other one that I'm really high into, and we mentioned him, is Seals. He is likely going to be one that we throw a scholarship to, the local kid from Delaware. He's a 6'10", 247, a little bit smaller. He'd probably move to our power forward position. He doesn't have quite the scoring that we'd like. We'd like that to be bumped up a little bit, but we can deal with that. Average passing and ball handling I do like. I know that sounds kind of funny, but for centers that's not too terrible, really. The big thing is the great rebounder, great shot blocker. Defense could be better, but rebounding, shot blocking is going to be pretty good, and we definitely like that. Especially the rebounding part. Shot blocking would just give us another nice rim protector we have out there. The really big catch is that he's apparently a top-notch inside shooter and top-notch jump shooter. I have a feeling that's more our scouting being inaccurate than actually true. But if it is actually true, that'd be great. Other than, of course, again, he needs to actually take a shot more. A little too passive about it, especially for having that great of scoring skill, supposedly. He could be a better free-throw shooter, but that's going to be a lot of our center and power forwards. I'm not expecting us to be a good free-throw shooting team. I'd love us to be, but I don't expect it to happen. Then he also has decent athleticism, which will be nice because we will be able to keep him in a lot longer. So far in high school, he's averaging 13.4 points a game, 1.7 assists, which is about the same as our good passing guy, which is kind of interesting. 6.0 rebounds per game. That's a little concerning, considering he's supposed to be a good rebounder. We'd like to see that number be a little bit higher. 1.3 steals and almost 3 blocks per game, so he's another great shot blocker we got going on. He's obviously highly interested in our school. He did come in for a visit and was cool with it. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best place ever, but we'll take it. You can see we kind of got a few of his pitch categories unlocked already. He's looking for primarily playing time and location, which we can offer both in spades, so that won't be too much of a problem. We're not really in his top 10 schools is the only concern I have, but I'm hoping we can kind of, once we get into recruiting, we can really kind of push on him. The other guys I'm looking at, we'll pull up in here, is we have a couple of them are a little overrated. Let me find him on here. There he is. Stewart. He's I shouldn't say overrated, but he's probably too high of a rated player for us. But if for some reason we can pull him in or get him kind of interested, he seems like he'd be a really great player. The only thing I really hate is he is a terrible passer. Not a great ball handler either. Terrible passer, but really good shooter, great scoring. That defense is what really catches me on him. If he is an A+ defender, that would be insane. Plus a great rebounder and shot blocker. Can hit 3 throws, which is definitely a good thing. Not very athletic, but I have a feeling like, again, this defense is an outlier. That's not actually his real numbers. He's not actually that good at defense. The passing definitely looks to be very obviously pretty accurate since he's so far averaging absolutely no assists per game. Does have a 50.3 points per game and 10 rebounds, and of course he's 6'11", which is definitely in the realm of what we're looking for, and generally running with bigger guys up there. And another one who's getting good blocks per game. Let's see, the other ones for our bigs we have Carter. You can kind of figure out already by looking at that, a 7-footer that's 267 from New Hampshire. Doesn't like to score, that's the only thing I don't really like about him. He is also not a great passer. But once again, another guy who can rebound and shot block. Can handle the ball, which is nice. Not an outside shooter, but we can live with that. He's more of a center, and we'd be playing him at the 5 anyways. I don't really need a jump shooter out of my 5. It's nice, but I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, again, like if it was, and in real life, I'd rather have a guy with a little jump shooting just because it gives you some more dynamic. You can be more dynamic, I guess, in your offense would be the way to put it if you can hit those mid-range shots, but from your 5. I don't want everyone hitting mid-range shots. You need some mid-range shots, but it's not the best shot, but especially out of my 5, I'd like them to be able to kind of pop from mid-range at least. But, you know, I'm willing, especially at a small school, I'm willing to just take a guy who can dominate inside, even though he doesn't like to do it very often. And he could be a little bit more athletic, but you know, his numbers kind of play out the fact that he's not that much of a scorer with only 10.2 points per game. Decent assist numbers because for what's supposed to be pretty bad passing. 8.5 rebounds is nice. Good blocks per game, averaging almost 3 blocks a game. He's one that, like I said, he's not. Right now, Bowie and Seals are the 1 and 2 that I'm definitely looking at, but he's definitely him and He's probably number 3 on that list. Stewart's probably 4 or 5 because our other guy we have here is this guy. And he's one I just recently added. Todd Allison from Rhode Island, a 6'10", 267 high school senior. Averaging 13.4 points per game. Rebounds are a little low at 5.4. Another guy with 3 steals per game. Nice 3 blocks per game. 2.5 steals per game. Assists could be better, but I can live with it. See, he's another guy who I'd like to see him get that scoring up, but he's supposed to be another great shooter. Rebounding's a little questionable, which kind of plays out with the rebounding number, but he can rim protect. Can't really do on-ball defense that well, but we'll live with it. Especially considering he will get us some steals. He can play the passing lanes at least, which would be kind of nice. decent free throw shooter, decent athleticism. Overall, like I said, he's a guy. He's probably my 4th. As much as I like Stewart's high level of defense, and really Stewart's getting ranked a lot lower just because I don't think we have a chance at signing. But yeah, so right now, and there are a couple international prospects I'm going to look at later that are in the 7-foot range that could be kind of interesting, that we might have a chance at landing. But right now, I'm definitely looking at for center and power forward, bringing in Bowie and Seals as my 2 scholarship offers, and hopefully we can land one of them. Seals seems like a possibility. I'd really love to land Bowie, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes with that. And then on the guard side, I don't have a lot of them right now. I'm still kind of working on that. We'll run through the list here real quick of those guys. We have, because I see his name first on here, we're going to go with Lavassier. He's kind of an interesting player. I don't like that he doesn't play great defense, but I kind of can't get over the fact that he's a 6'7" small forward with pretty good passing and ball handling. I kind of like the idea of trying to convert him into like a point guard if those actually pan out. He's also got the inside and outside shooting abilities, which would be definitely useful for us, even though he prefers to shoot from 3, which we don't mind. He doesn't really like to shoot, which is the only downside. But yeah, just kind of like, it's just his passing and ball handling are kind of what made me kind of interested in just kind of seeing. He's like, I wonder if I can convert him into being a 6'7" point guard, because there's some size right there. Worst to worst, he'd be a point forward, which isn't too bad. If you heard that, that was me upsetting my coffee down. I actually need to get more, but we're recording a video, so we'll get more later. Who else did we have on here? We have... Actually down here. I don't know why I have Stewart listed. Oh, there's another Stewart. This is one I definitely really kind of want to get in, if I can ever get his interest. I have him coming in for a visit just to try and force it. If it doesn't happen, he may be gone from our list next time around, but my main thing is he's an A+, he's a A-level scorer. He also has an inside and outside shot, which is really nice. Great athleticism. He's actually an overall B. He's ranked fairly low for a B overall. Scouting out. He's not a great passer, but I don't care. He's my small forward. Or shooting guard. Wow. Cutest moments. He's also from Delaware, which is nice. Good ball handler, average defense, average free throw shooting, but primary thing is he's a scorer. That's the big thing I love about him, is he's a scorer. We'll see if we can actually bring him in. He's also 6'5", which gives a good size, 200 pounds we can work with. Only averaging 14.6 points per game right now, which is a little low. Assists, like I said, he's not really passing, which I'm not really concerned about. Rebounds, about 4 per game. I can live with that. Again, I'm not really looking for him to come in and rebound for me. 1.5 steals, same thing. He's more of a player I'm coming in just because I want him, because he's a great... got the outside shooting, and he's willing to chuck up the shots. That's primarily why I'm really interested in Corey Stewart. And that's about it, really. Alright, we have another one is Taylor here, which we've talked about. He's the one who originally was ranked, you see, 436. He's dropped quite a bit. Well, he was also from Tennessee, which kind of interested me that he was interested in us. But at 6'6", he could definitely go with gaining some weight, but he's highly into location, but we'll see. He was interested in us, so I can't help with that. 3-and-D guy, as I mostly said. That's primarily why we're interested in him. About 14 points per game. Assists are actually pretty high for, of course, he plays point for his passing, but he does play point. Steals aren't great. We weren't really expecting that out of him. Our primary thing is that he could be a better inside shooter too, but primarily our biggest thing. Sorry, I just noticed that. Brody's parents say academics is no matter for him whatsoever. Well, that's good, considering his GPA is 1.9. Let me guess, academics aren't his concern either. He does like to try to get to the basket, which is kind of odd considering he can't really shoot from inside, but hey, what do I know? He's a decent scorer, though. He's definitely got the outside shooting, and he's got that 3-and-D thing going, and that's our big thing we kind of really like about him. He'd definitely move to shooting guard because he's not a great point guard, as I mentioned, but he's one where he's one on that list. I have 2 more. That wasn't really planned. It just kind of worked out that I had 5 and 5 that I was interested in. Diggs, another 3-and-D guy. Ball handling could be better. It's 6'6", 244. Nice weight on him there. Points per game aren't very high, 2.5. Decent assist number for a small forward. I feel that's not bad, considering I don't really see it. He's not really a big passer. Rebounding's a little low, but he's not a great rebounder. We weren't really expecting much out of that. Same with steals and blocks. Our primary thing is, again, is that we like he's kind of a... he'd probably be another one who'd move to shooting guard because of his 6'6" size, though he could stay at small forward because he does have the weight. But our primary thing we like about him is that 3-and-D potential there with the scoring, outside shooting. He can also shoot inside, which is nice if that's actually true. And again, he can play defense. That's primarily a big thing. Defense and shooting. And you kind of see there's kind of a trend there, and what we're looking for is from our guards is defense and shooting, and rebounding and blocks from our centers and bigs, and some passing, which again, there's a big surprise. Like, yeah, gee, I want to play with two big guys, but I don't want them to do any shot blocking or rebounding. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of obvious. That's kind of what you would expect when especially when you're going to be playing with two bigs. Anywho, because this video is getting long. Our last guy we're kind of interested in right now, preliminary again, preliminary. I'm going to just call this video preliminary. Because that's pretty much about been half the videos. Oh, that was about the fourth time in the video I haven't been able to pronounce that word. Oi, 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 oi. Alright, so our last one is Kyle Jennings, a 6'6", 214-pound small forward from Maryland. He's got great points per game. Everything else is meh. But that's fine with us, because we're kind of promoting him because of his kind of just because of his size and his scoring. The fact he can shoot from the inside, which is kind of interesting. Defense could be better, but you know, for us, average is good enough. Great athleticism as well, which would be really nice to have. But yeah, and you can see I have a whole bunch of other guys that I'm trying to get interested in the school, but we'll see how it goes. Some of those guys may show up on the list next time, but right now, that's kind of the list of the people I'm looking at. I may end up adding a point guard too, because if you look at our roster, we would be down to 2 point guards, but I don't know. I feel like our 2 point guards are decent enough that we can live with them, especially Murray. And Tucker can work as a backup. What we really lack is a really good, any really good shooting guards outside of, you know, converted guys who are going to convert from small forward. And of course, the fact we're losing our 2 power forwards is going to be a big thing. And then size. Obviously, size is the main thing. So yeah, there's kind of our look. I don't really have a guard yet in mind for the well, I do. I should rephrase that. He just doesn't want to sign with us yet. That'd be Corey Stewart. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we'll come back here in September. I believe it was September 18th when we'll do our scheduling, and then we'll go ahead and come back and take a look too at how our recruiting's going and if anything's changed. By that time, in fact, we should be doing, so we may even come in actually earlier on the 11th when we start doing the contact and run through that, as well as scheduling. Because that's when we're really going to kind of start handing out our scholarships here, is probably just the 10th, somewhere in that range, just before we hit the contact period. And right now, the for sure scholarship offers are likely going to Bowie and Seals. If I can get Stewart interested, he doesn't just blow us off after his visit, he'd be a potential one that could get a scholarship as well. And then, of course, we're saving a scholarship for hopefully... Pardon me, I had a burp there. Hopefully someone that kind of slips through the cracks because their academics aren't good enough. But yeah, okay, so there's our kind of little recruiting recap, or early season recruiting recap. Like I said, I'll see you next episode when we get into scheduling and doing some active visiting recruits and seeing if we can get our first few signings in for this year. Bye. Oh, before I leave, I also was going to mention, if you have any feedback, anything you think we should do better, anything you think that's, if you think like, oh, you should wait till maybe show us the recruiting later, or show it earlier, or show us what's going on with other recruits, or things like that, whatever. Like I said, this is kind of completely new for me. I did like a couple things of OOTP, and I realized like, wow, this is kind of hard to do tech sims and figure out kind of the make them interesting. So again, like I said, if you're watching this, you have any sort of feedback, like, hey, you should do this or that or this, or you want to see this or that, just let me know. Like I know like the Norton thing came up, the Norton people in the race, candidates, and I just kind of skipped that because I figured we didn't have anyone in there, and being all fictional players, it wouldn't be too interesting right now. We don't really know many of these players, but again, that was just my feeling on it. Like I said, if you think that'd be something worth seeing, hey, let me know. Just in general, like I said, just any sort of suggestions I'll definitely take, because this is kind of completely new territory for me, as you can tell by how organized I'm on it too. So yeah, laters.